Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of Daviess County Fiscal Court to order. Today is January 9th, 2025, and this is our first meeting of 2025. Commissioner Marksberry, could you do the opening prayer and lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, thank you. Would you stand with me, please? Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us a start to a new year as we begin doing the work for our county. Give us fresh eyes to see the needs, open hearts to heal the wounds, ears to hear those who speak, and hands to help those who need all the help we can provide as their elected officials. I thank you for the steadfast commitment of our county employees and local workers who have kept us safe, the roads cleared, and the heat and lights on. I ask your blessing on this court. Please guide me, Judge Caslin, Commissioner Condor, Commissioner Caslin, and all we decide this year. And our Governor, Andy Beshear, and all our Kentucky leaders who serve. Please bless President-elect Trump as he prepares to lead our country. And on this day, as our nation remembers its longest-lived president, Jimmy Carter, we pray for your peace and comfort for his family at this time. And we thank you for his servant's heart. Thank you for your love and mercy. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Brooke, you ready?
Yes. 1, consideration for presentation. A, Executive Order Number 01-2025, Local Emergency Operations Plan.
Mr. Johnson.
The Judge Executive is required by Kentucky EMA to annually provide an executive order stating that the Daviess County Local Emergency Operations Plan, or LEOP, is still active and maintained as part of the annual LEOP review process. As a note, executive orders that do not require action by the legislative body appear under consideration for presentation as an update to the Commission.
Thank you. So for those watching, for those in the audience, this is strictly a presentation. That's why there won't be a vote on this. Any comments from the bench here? Next item, Brooke.
B, Executive Order Number 02-2025, Declaration of a Local State of Emergency, January 5th, 2025.
Mr. Johnson.
The Judge Executive is granted authority by KRS 39A.100, Section 2, to declare the county to be in a state of emergency, such to activate the Local Emergency Operations Plan, empower the Daviess County Emergency Management Agency to effectively manage the event, and waive procedural formalities that are otherwise required for the county to respond to the event. Declarations of a local state of emergency also open potential avenues for the county to recuperate unbudgeted and unforeseen cleanup costs that occur in the wake of any emergency. Presented as the declaration for January 5th, 2025 for the winter ice storm. As a note, again, executive orders that do not require action by the legislative body appear under consideration for presentation as an update to the Commission and public.
Thank you. Just for the benefit of those watching and also for the other members of the court, generally when there's a severe weather event possible, usually I actually pre-sign one of these in consultation with our EMA director, Andy Ball. And usually they're shredded because, if, like in the case of a tornado, obviously we have lots of tornado warnings and no tornadoes that hit Daviess County. And therefore those are just shredded. They were signed in advance in case, if we're all out of the loop, all out of power, he's the guy that's got to get it to the state. And so he has to have it in his hand. In the case of the ice storm, that was a late developing thing. Early on, we weren't really in the ice storm warning area. It was way west of us. And then once they issued it, I reached out to him. He said, well, we're the farthest east county, let's wait and see. And it wasn't until our neighboring counties started having significant power outages. I don't know if y'all ever went on to the Kenergy website and looked at their outage maps, but I know at one point both Henderson and Union County had over 44% of their total metered homes were out without power. So they got hit really hard, and when those started jumping up is when Andy called me and asked me to make this declaration. So that's why that was made, and that was the timeline, just FYI.
2, consideration for approval. A, minutes of December 19th, 2024, Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We've all had the minutes for some time to review. Do I hear any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
B, all claims for all departments.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. These are all the bills due and payable by the county. Are there any questions for our treasurer? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
C, cash balance transfer and fund closure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
As of December 24 of 2024, the final payment of ARPA fund obligations cleared our bank. This was the last payment to Connexon for the 100% fiber broadband deployment milestone. I have submitted the quarterly SLFRF report and reconciled all activity for Fund 84. The residual cash balance of the account is interest accumulated over the life of the fund in the amount of $628,221.26 as of December 31st, 2024. I am requesting your approval to transfer this balance to the general fund, close the respective bank account, and retire the fund.
Any comment? Commissioner Condor?
Thank you, Judge. So Treasurer Johnson, this basically means when anybody ever asks the court, well, can't you use your ARPA funds? Well, no, it doesn't exist anymore. That is exactly what is happening here. The ARPA is finished, correct?
It is fully exhausted, that is correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's a good point to make. Any other comments?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
D, annual authorization allowing the judge executive to execute and submit any and all court-approved documents.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson, you want to say anything about this?
Sure. Anytime that the court approves an item, this authorization would allow the judge executive to sign and submit any and all documents that stem from that item as long as the court's approval is not modified. It's an annual approval that is simply for efficiency of conducting county business. It only grants the judge executive the authority to sign documents that fulfill the original intent of a court-approved item. I would recommend your approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
E, Resolution 01-2025, Owensboro Regional Recovery CDBG grant application.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
Per the Kentucky Community Development Block Grant CDBG program guidelines, every year the county can submit a single application in the Public Services Program area up to $200,000 for operational costs to support a regional recovery center. The Owensboro Regional Recovery Center, or ORRC, is the only entity that meets this criterion. Each year, ORRC applies for $200,000 of CDBG funds. $190,000 of that is for salaries, and $10,000 of that is for grad to administer the grant. We simply act as the fiscal agent, passing these funds along after receipt and appropriate draw applications are completed. This is the resolution and CDBG grant application to meet that end, and I see no issues.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions from the commissioners? No. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
F, apply for the fiscal year 2025-2026 Kentucky Ambulance Block Grant Program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
Daviess County Fiscal Court has applied for and received this grant on behalf of the county's ambulance provider for more than 15 years. The court is the financial conduit for this grant only, since a government entity must apply. The ambulance provider cannot apply for nor receive this grant themselves. If awarded and received, we will forward the funds to AMR. The application is for $10,000, which is the same amount from prior years. It is a budgeted item. I would recommend your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Any questions or comment from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
G, playground lease agreement with the Board of Education of Daviess County, Kentucky.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Smith?
Yes, the fiscal court signs an annual lease with the Daviess County Public Schools for the athletic fields at various schools throughout their system. This is an annual lease and has been unchanged. This lease will allow us then to have the different playground associations and the Kids Football League to use those fields for their use for their independent leagues.
Thank you.
Legal has reviewed and has no issues.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
H, deed of easement between Daviess County School District Finance Corporation and Daviess County, Kentucky. West Louisville tornado warning siren.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
Anytime that we erect a structure on property that we do not own, we must have a deed of easement to allow access to the property for construction and maintenance. This deed of easement is for a community warning siren to be installed at West Louisville Elementary School at 8400 Kentucky 56, Owensboro, Kentucky. I would recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
I, deed of easement between Daviess County School District Finance Corporation and Daviess County, Kentucky. Southern Oaks tornado warning siren.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
Same narrative as the last item. This deed of easement is for a community warning siren installed at Southern Oaks Elementary School at 7525 US 431 in Utica, Kentucky. I would recommend your approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
J, easement of right-of-way and access agreement between Daviess County Fiscal Court and A&R Pipeline Company.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
A&R Pipeline currently has an easement understanding with Daviess County Fiscal Court that follows the perimeter of the West Daviess County landfill property for the transmission of renewable gas generated on-site to a commercial pipeline entry point off-site. This agreement is a reroute request of a portion of that line that moves the original line path further away from the perimeter of the landfill property and more straight line from point to point. This is in light of a more intense survey of the original line path that revealed issues with runoff and poor drainage that would create material construction, maintenance, and access issues for A&R. This reroute would solve those issues. Solid Waste Management is in agreement with accommodating their request. Legal and I have reviewed the agreement, and we see no issues.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Any questions or comment from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
K, contract with Kenergy for utility service and line extension costs for the West Daviess County landfill.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
This is a 10-year conditionally refundable contract to cover the total installation cost of the overhead three-phase line extension to bring electricity to the site where the budgeted mechanic shop will be constructed at the West Daviess County landfill. Kenergy's rules and regulations, as approved by the Kentucky Public Service Commission, require the requesting entity to provide advanced contribution for the line extension for any service of a temporary, seasonal, or of questionable tenure. This advanced contribution is in the amount of $30,181.31. It will be refunded annually over a 10-year period, so long as we utilize an annual kilowatt hour of 482,901, and there is no break-in service in excess of 60 days. The refund will be adjusted according to our electricity usage. The agreement is standard for this request. The contribution is quite a bit below what we anticipated when budgeting the project, and neither I nor Solid Waste Management see any issues.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
L, grant agreement between Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development and the County of Davis, Kentucky for the Grant Program 2024 project, Habitat for Humanity.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson.
Fiscal Court submitted an application for Habitat in the amount of $250,000 for grant program state matching dollars via Resolution 13, 2024, which was approved in Fiscal Court Session 7/11 of '24. This application was to offset unexpected cost overruns of Habitat's $1 million CDBG project. Habitat was ultimately awarded $100,000 with the local match requirement of 5%, which they would be responsible for. This is the resultant agreement of that award. Legal and I have reviewed it, and we see no issues.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
M, change order 2 for bid number 2425-11, purchase of 89 new fire hydrants.
Motion to approve, please.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Ms. Sturgeon?
Yes, Judge. As the contractor continues installation of these new fire hydrants, they discovered some additional lines buried deeper than anticipated. In order to avoid any delays in installation or disrupt water service, Fire Department Management has requested to procure additional fire hydrant extension kits to have on hand when such an instance occurs. This change order in the amount of $7,217.79 covers the cost of the 7 additional fire hydrant extension kits and will be fully reimbursed by the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority Grant Assistance Agreement approved in Fiscal Court Session held February 6, 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Sturgeon. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
N, second reading of KOC 220.38, 11/2024, ordinance authorizing and directing the rebate of 0.35% of all occupational license fees due and payable to Davis County, Kentucky from the salaries, wages, and other compensation to be paid to the new employees of Southern Star Central Gas Pipeline Incorporated, provided said corporation meets the criteria set forth in its application for incentives under the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority Kentucky Business Investment Program.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson.
This ordinance will rebate the statute-governed calculated percentage of the county's occupational tax such that Southern Star Central Gas Pipeline Incorporated can receive state incentives in light of their building improvements. To reiterate, this rebate is on the occupational tax of new employees only of Southern Star as a result of their improvements. The tax rebate is a standard function of the Kentucky Business Investment Program that Davis County Fiscal Court has historically participated in and supported for eligible applications. This is the second reading and adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
O, appoint Dirk Duper as Davis County Engineer effective January 14th of 2025 through January 11, 2027.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Duper, I want to thank you for coming on board with us when you did and agreeing to stay with us. So glad we hadn't run you off, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Judge. Appreciate working here. And
All
look
right,
forward to
very,
it.
very good. Any other comments from the commissioners?
Yes, trial period's over, Dirk. Time to get to work.
Will do.
Good job on the road.
Good job.
All right.
Thanks.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
P, hire Jonathan McBride as Service Technician effective January 6th of 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. We welcome Mr. McBride to our staff and wish him well. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
3, consideration for discussion. A, other business to be brought before the Davis County Fiscal Court. There's none that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
B, first reading of KOC A.106.03, 01,
I'm sorry. Keep going.
2025, Budget Amendment Number 3.
This is first reading, so we don't need a motion or a second. Mr. Johnson.
The county is required to amend the budget to reflect the receipt and expenditure of unanticipated revenues that were not part of the original budget document. This amendment is in light of an item approved on this agenda, which was the grant agreement between the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development and the County of Daviess, Kentucky for the Grant Program 2024 Project Habitat for Humanity. Daviess County Fiscal Court was unaware of the grant or its need when compiling the fiscal year 24-25 budget. The county will receive and flow through these funds to Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $100,000 per the amendment. This is the first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Next item, Brooke.
C, public comments.
This is a part of our meeting where we invite the public to come forward, state your name and address for the record, and speak to any topic other than those that have been covered on the agenda. Do we have any takers? I don't think so. Next item, Brooke.
D, comments by Daviess County Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Caslen.
Thank you, Judge. I want to piggyback off what Commissioner Marksberry said in her prayer, that thanks for all those people, the people working outside that have cleaned off the roads, the sidewalks, kept the heat on, kept our lines of communication open, and kept the electricity on as well. Thanks for all that you do, and those things like that sure help to keep our community running and keep everything going the way it's supposed to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Condor.
Thank you, Judge. I believe everyone is aware, and Commissioner Marksberry even mentioned it in her prayer, about the passing of former President Jimmy Carter. He was the consummate definition of servant leadership. Came into office in a narrative that was very difficult, Watergate, and was elected. And then trying to get reelected, he came up against a very staunch Republican that, and the Iranian crisis plus the oil embargoes, and even his good works he did at Camp David could not overshadow that. He was one of those individuals that served the people, and most importantly, he served God. To be that way for 100 years is astounding for someone to be able to hold to those principles as long as he did. And on a good note, last night, I received a text message from some of the owners of the Red Swing, which is a coffee shop, wanting to say thank you to the road workers, the road crew. And so today, I think, around 9:30 this morning, they showed up at the operations center and showed up not only with coffee, but even with sandwiches and things like that for the road crews. They work hard each day. It's tasking. I was asked once before if I could even drive one of the trucks, and I was told, nope, can't do it, because it is so difficult to be able to make sure you're doing the right thing on the roads and being safe and trying to keep everyone else safe. So everyone else on the desk, recognizing those individuals that are doing some hard work this weekend. They're not finished, because tomorrow we have probably another snow event that's coming. So thank you to each one of them. They're doing great work. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Marksberry.
Thank you, Judge. Yes, I just want to reiterate what we've all been saying up here. I'm sorry. I just want to reiterate what we've all been saying up here. I'm just so proud of our crews and the road crews and everyone that's, taken all this storm issues that we've been dealing with as a county. It's like it just disappeared overnight almost. The roads were cleared. It was just, it was a lot of ice and just trouble to work with. And it was, the threat of the cold and everything. And I just personally, I felt safe. I felt comfortable and confident that they were going to get the job done. And I also want to thank the animal shelter, because they were closed to the public, but they actually had volunteers to come out there. And we had workers that showed up out there as well. I think almost all of them showed up one day when we were closed. And so, those animals also have to be fed and taken care of. So I'm very proud of our county and the way they've handled themselves. And bring the snow, I think we can handle it now. I'm pretty confident going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to, just listening to your compliments, yours and Commissioner Caston's as well, and I know Commissioner Condor shares it. But it echoes what I said this morning at my State of the County address, you know, that our staff, and when I say our staff, it's not just those who support us here on second floor, but all our staff that across the county are very impressive workers, and I thank all of them, and especially those this past few days, to your points, of those who were out on the roads, and our utility workers. They're not our employees, they're our neighbors, OMU and Kenergy, that were putting power on, and since I had done the declaration, emergency declaration, I made a point of watching about every half hour the outages, the outage maps, and as I saw, it was interesting because I forget what time I looked at it, and it was about there were fewer than 200, and they were all down around Eddyville. And within the hour, Andy Ball called me and said, "Judge, I think we need to do this declaration because they're starting to jump up." And I logged on real quick and looked, and there were over 2,000 and coming our way. And so anyway, I'm not sure at that time that we actually had any for Daviess County, but anyway. The other thing I want to continue to do is say thank you to those who participated in the Cash for Trash. This time in our claims, we only had one. That's Apostolic Lighthouse Church. They picked up 0.2 tons and 60 bags and covered 6 miles. The other thing I want to mention, just for the public's benefit, if you post something on Facebook, whether it's pro or con, about what fiscal court's done, I would encourage you to realize that that's not communicating with me. It might be with some of the commissioners up here, but if you want to communicate with me, you need to send me an email to the Daviess County email address or to call the office. And I'll be glad to communicate with you. But posting a random post on Facebook or whatever is not, I don't live on Facebook for my own mental health. I think I spend very little time on Facebook. And so, but I did see, having said that, I did happen to see a post that popped up about mailboxes getting knocked down. They claim by our snow plows. It's actually not by our snow plows, it's by the weight of the snow that's being shoved by our snow plows. But we do have a program to help restore those boxes if we're at fault. You just call the engineer's office, or you can call our office. We'll get you in touch with the right people. Somebody had posted that every mailbox on a certain road had been knocked down. I did a screenshot of that, sent that to Dirk. Dirk looked into it, found out that was not a factual statement, and he did report back to me how many mailboxes that we knew because people had called in saying, "Hey, my mailbox got destroyed." So anyway, I'm not sure what your notes say. Oh, yes. I will. Commissioner Marksberry shoved me a note, but I couldn't read all her writing. But I do want to do a shout out to our own Jordan Rowe, who did a ride along with KSP Trooper Corey King to do a road report. And I don't know how many views it's up to now, but I know during the height of all of that, it was over 30,000 views. And I thought, wow, that was pretty awesome. So Jordan, thank you for that, and all the other things that you did on your day off, getting messages out to the public. So I appreciate that. Anything else, Brooke? Without further business, this meeting is adjourned.